Have here a brand new ZS190. Just popped the clutch cover off to check one thing, and it is coming with the shifter star washer. It's just a stamped piece of steel, and it gives it its space. It spaces it out right here, and then your I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it, but the shift fork goes in, rides on the bottom. There's a little wheel there, and there's different finger shapes on that star, and that gives you the different gears. A lot of times it would pop off. You could either bend that arm so there's more tension against, say like this is the star right here, and my finger's the ball, and this would rotate, so then it would clunk, this would come over and clunk, clunk, and it would either so a lot of people are having a problem with it popping off, and then it comes down here and then you can't shift. Then you gotta take this cover off and then pop it back on so it rides. So people, what they've been doing is getting a combination of a longer bolt and some combo different size washers and making this, but as you can see, the new ones seem to be coming with it already, so that should help keep it from popping off. Another thing is that I didn't even realize they still come with the screen, even though it does use an oil filter. The oil filter stays in this cover because the outlet and inlet of the oil lines are on that cover. And this just, I noticed this gasket was kind of popping off right here, and I was like, what the hell? And I'm pushing down that gasket. Well, hell, I didn't even realize they still came with screens. That's cool. Something else to check. The drain bolt, they even put Teflon tape on it, so they're getting better on building stuff like this. I believe it's it's not exactly square, so it doesn't fit the. I'm gonna trim this so it sits more flush. Of course, it doesn't. The gasket really just seals right here. This is just kind of extra right there. You could probably just notch that if you want to. So let's see, because right there, that still needs to go in more. But I'm gonna kind of clean that up so it's not protruding so much. Yeah, I really want to get an exploded diagram of how the oil channels work on it, because here's the oil pump, and there's valleys on both sides of this. I know that, and then it goes in. I don't know how it gets to the case right here and then shoots through the oil filter. I'll have to look at that and see. I want to see exactly how that works for the oil lines to the oil cooler. Other than that, it's pretty still just like a regular, 50cc, 125cc engine. Nothing too different. You get your kickstart. This is electric start. Electric starter is obviously on the bottom. A lot of them, like the 125s, will be on top. The bad thing about these is they use a chain. I believe the Grom's 125 and I'm sure the Kawasaki, the Z125, they use gears, so you don't have to worry about snapping that chain or that chain popping off or skipping a tooth. So this is just a cheaper way of doing it. On the Grom's, I noticed the shaft coming out, it'll have basically the teeth are about as wide as the shaft, and then it'll hit an intermediate gear, and then to the starter gear of the engine, the crank, and get it cranking over. So you'll probably never have a problem unless those gears are made cheaply. You should probably never ever have a problem busting those gears or anything. Chains, on the other hand, so far I haven't had a problem. I already have one of these in a bike, and I haven't had a problem yet. I did have a problem one time. I forgot to put my spark plug wire back on, and I was starting it, and it sounded like that chain was jumping. There is a tensioner there to keep that chain kind of tight, but it sounded bad. It sounded almost kind of like a grinding slash the teeth were skipping on that chain, or the chain was skipping on the teeth. Weird sound, but other than that, starts fine. You know, when I plugged it back in, it fires right up. So that's kind of the one downside on this. I don't know. I'm gonna guess the Daytona 190 E-starter uses a chain too. I'll have to find an exploded view. I don't know for sure if they use a chain or if they use gears. I'm gonna say they use a chain, but you never know. Comes with an NGK spark plug. Not sure if it's a real NGK or a Chinese NGK spark plug. Obviously, I guarantee they test fire these because it looks like it's been mounted before. I'm sure they just put them on a stand, fire them up real fast just to make sure they start, and then drain the oil. The oil, there's obviously oil here, I'm sure for assembly, but I'm pretty sure I would think they test fire them. Or hell, maybe they just hook them up to a machine and they spin them. I don't know. I would think that they test fire them. I'll pull a spark plug and that'll definitely tell me if they've fired it up or not. Or I could probably just look at the exhaust valve right there. Other than that, looks pretty darn good. I'm going to use this one. I got a 4-valve, Daytona 4-valve head coming. So I'm going to pull the engine off of that one, which barely has any miles on it. I'm just gonna go ahead and put that new head on a new engine. That's just an OCD thing. I was gonna put it on that, but I was like, hell, I just got this one in. I'll go ahead and put that 4-valve on this one. I'm gonna keep it 190 because I'm gonna daily ride this thing. 212. I think the piston skirt is still thick enough, but I mean it gets hot here. I mean we're 100 degrees. All summer long mostly, and it's just hot. And even with an oil, I would probably have to go with a pretty good size oil cooler. I don't want to get stranded on this thing, because there's, it's not like, in the northern states with trees and there's no trees here. You get, you have a problem on the highway. You're in the sun and you're baking. So I think I'm just gonna keep it a 190 with a 4-valve. The engine right now has a Mikuni flat side. I don't know the size. I don't know if it's a real Mikuni. It looks like a real Mikuni from what I've seen, if I'm saying the right name. But I think I'll just start fresh engine, use that one as a backup if something were to happen. Obviously I can't kickstart it because it's on a Venom X20 or Vader Gen 2, whichever you want to call it. So I probably could just pull this out and just put a plug there, but I'll probably just leave it and just screw it. And at least it'll be sealed. Other than that, 6-disc clutch. Haven't had a problem with the other one. That's pretty much it. I gotta find my gasket, my exhaust gasket rings. So anyway, to get this cover off, you gotta pull the 2 bolts for the starter. Pull that out. The starter can stay there. Just let it hang. And then you'll have one. It looks like it goes through the oil line, but it's not. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bolts. So, and keep up with them. I think almost every one of them's a different length. So just pull the whole thing off. You will have a washer fallout, which goes, I'm guessing goes right there. I guess, I don't know. And I had a dowel. I had the other dowel fell out. There's one right there. One right there that helps align. The one, it keeps the gasket in place, and it helps align cases better, so they're not kind of crooked when you bolt them down. Bam, pops them right on. Other than that, and of course, what sucks is my I'm gonna have to clean this gasket off, because usually once you get oil on these things, they never really seal, and they torque this down pretty damn good. So this is already compressed. I'll probably just order a roll of gasket material and just make a new one. I'll try cleaning this off. If it seals, great. It's just a lot of times these gaskets, once you get oil on it, it's just hard to keep them from leaking again. Even if you use brake cleaner, carb cleaner, get that off. It just, and plus, like I said, see how you can see that line where it's already, I mean, they impact these bolts on, so it may never seal right. So just give it a go, see if it'll seal for you. And but no, that was the main thing. I just wanted to check, make sure they were, I knew they were working on it. I saw a diagram of it, and someone pointed out and was like, hey, looks like they're putting a shifter star washer on there, and they are. So that's pretty cool. I guess they got enough complaints, and they just like, you know what, and it's just stamped still. You know, it's nothing crazy. I'm sure they're pumping out 1 million of them. So that's cool. I'm excited. I'm ready to get that 4-valve in. I got my front wheel bearings in, so I can get that done this weekend and get the change that rear sprocket out, put that new chain on, and just see what it'll do with that engine. Like I said, it'll be a while until I get this engine on. I would like to get it on before winter. If it doesn't happen, then this will be just a winter project or whatever, and I'll just keep it 190 because I'll probably continue to ride during the winter, but it can get kind of gnarly here. Even it's 100 in the summer, and it's, you know, 30 degrees in the winter with who knows falling out of the sky. I live in a very weird place that gets very weird weather, just constantly changes. But let's see if there's a number. There should be a, I mean, they're even using those QR barcodes, so they're moving on up. I do want to measure these bolt holes and see. I'm pretty sure they're the exact same as the Honda bolt holes, because I would like to get one of those braces, order one of those braces that bolts there, and then it clamps around the beam right here on your frame. I think that's pretty neat. Just, you know, a little added you know, stoutness to the engine. There's that. I thought there was a long sticker. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the actual, hold on guys. Yeah, there we go. There she goes. Right there. So, here's the, I guess the production number. So we got ZS1P62YML-2. And I guess that's the serial of the block on the bottom. So there's the model, and that's the serial or production number, I guess, on the bottom with the stars. Oh, look at all that oil coming out, son of a bitch. Oh, that's right. That shit needs to be changed out anyways. So they call it shipping oil. It's not shipping oil. They can ship these dry. Actually, they're supposed to drain. You're supposed to drain oil, because that's a hazard or whatever they call it. It's kind of the same thing as shipping like ammo, fluids, or anything. Like when you ship stuff at the post office, they always ask, is there anything flammable or anything? Oil is still, I think, considered flammable. So you're supposed to drain it. So that's not shipping oil. That's starting oil. So they can fire this up and test it. And then they drain it out, which I'm sure they drain it in a bucket, fill that bucket up, fill up the new ones. So it's just recycled oil, I'm sure. They're just firing this up for like 10 seconds, turning it off, and putting it in the next engine, you know, draining out what they can. So I'm gonna let that sit and get out as much as I can, so I can really make a mess. Alright, well that's it so far, and next video will probably be this weekend of me changing the wheel bearings out. Nothing too hard on that, and just go from there.